y'all. We back. PolicKen episode number 2, season 2. I'm joined by some awesome people, live Detroiters, millennials in action. That's our theme for today. We're just talking about what are millennials doing in Detroit, how we're setting our footprints, what can we do better? You know, so many questions that we can ask, but I think it's good for all of us to kind of talk about it. And so first, I just want to introduce who's joining me today. I'm so excited to be talking to y'all. A lot of great people at the table. First, I want to start out. My homegirl Jazz has joined us again. She is not a newcomer to PolicKen. Definitely was around for season 1. Good to have you back, young lady.
Yes, thanks for having me.
We also have my homie Greg.
Hey.
People don't even know I look up to Greg. Greg and I have been rapping forever. He act like he retired, but you know, he's trying to get him back in the studio. Hello.
Hang the jersey up.
My homegirl Days just joining me. What's up, love?
Hey.
Roommate, all that, right?
We out here, business partner. We making moves.
That's my manager too, y'all. Y'all don't even know it yet.
Hit me up if y'all trying to rap or sing. I'm a manager.
That's me. I'm there.
The next joining, I have my young. She is just like awesome. I always want to say mentee, but she dang near my mentor at this point. Katie Cox out here living live and lavish. My fellow mentor, brother, dang near used to be my Uber driver before Uber was even a thing. Marshawn is in the building. What's going on, Pettis?
What's going on?
One word, no spaces.
You know it.
And last but not least, I have my homeboy Eric in the building. Eric is why I even became a Podcast Detroit fellow in this mug. So definitely shout out to Eric joining.
What's up, y'all?
And so, I mean, we're just going to jump into the dialogue. I never want to, do the small talk stuff because everybody at this table doing something awesome. Either got their own business, podcast, working with the youth. How do y'all feel about millennials in the city? Do y'all feel like everybody is really doing something? Because that's what it seemed like. I feel like we all are kind of in spaces and places that
I think we are
next to us.
Yeah, I think we are. I think millennials, we are about that action. Like, we definitely, when we got a cause, we got something we put in our mind to, we're going to do it. I think we need to do a better job of coming together and using our thoughts collectively and our ideas collectively to get things done. But again, I think everybody here who is a millennial has something they want to do. They want to make the world a better place.
Anybody else? How y'all feeling?
Oh, yeah. Same thing he said, piggybacking off him. Like, millennials are where it's at right now. Like, everybody's finding something they want to do that's their passion, that's their drive, instead of following someone else's passion or drive. At the same time, though, I think with that, it's a lot of direction and guidance missing. Because it's a lot of millennials out here trying to build their own, but they don't have any people before them that did it, so they don't know where to go to actually get things started or how they should be doing things.
It's like we start from scratch.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a whole lot of trial and error with that. Like, because I can definitely speak on that piece just from my own experience of not seeing anyone as I was growing up that had their own business or, that had their own thing going, and knowing that was something that I kind of wanted to go into since I was younger. I knew I wanted to do something like that and be an entrepreneur. Even before I knew what the word meant.
Right.
Yeah.
Feel you.
But yeah, it's a lot of trial and error with it.
Oh, yeah.
Something I've always noticed was a lot of millennials, they don't allow jobs to hold them back. So, like, when a job is stressing us out, we will leave. We're not going to be stressed out by a job. We'll find something else to do, and that's something I really admire from millennials and people our age.
Older generation think we crazy.
Yeah.
My
They stick to their
grandparents
job
come
for
on.
years.
Do you got a job? I'm like, yes, I got a job. It's flexible. We do outwork. You
For
in
real.
the field. What's the field? Like, you know.
Absolutely. And then speaking on stress, I think a lot of millennials are really a good advocate of mental health. We really want to take care of trauma that's probably trickulated throughout our family, throughout our years, our history. We're getting to know ourselves, you know what I'm saying, and become a lot more entwined with who we really are. And we take better care of ourselves. And I would say that's something I've noticed as well.
I think on that point, too, I think we care about helping people more than any other generation. It's all about giving back and sort of serving the community in our own ways. And I think that's something that's very, admirable about us. I think it's always that service to others that kind of just drives what we do.
Yes, I care, okay? But I really think that millennials, we have a great position right now. So we're not the youngest in the group right now, and we're not the oldest. So we have the expectation to pay it forward, but we also have to look to our elders for help. So sometimes it's not always about recreating something or starting from scratch, but it's building upon things and making it better. We can revamp it.
And I definitely hear that, like that whole generational thing. I remember one of the hardest things when I was, developing kinship, and I had like the business strategist really talking to me, and it was just like, what's your target audience? Because, so one thing I love about millennials is I don't feel like we stick in a box. We always challenging a norm. And so for me, it's like, what you mean what's my target audience? Intergenerational is my target audience. I want to hit the home. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's so important because a lot of times old heads just believe like we don't want that support, but we really seeking it. We really hungry for it. I really want you to sit down and just tell me how to do it so I ain't got to go read that book and do it myself.
Yeah, we just have the drive to get it done. It's like if it was set out, we would love that. Like, thank you so much. But we kind of get left with a lot of mistakes and things that kind of happened before us, especially from the generation before us. And then we're cleaning up other messes, and then we're also trying to start. So that's why we're feeling like we're starting from scratch. You know what I'm saying? Because it does feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the traditional system that our parents and grandparents grew up in doesn't work for us. Like, we're not going to be working, 9 to 5 for the rest of our lives.
30 years plus in the same job,
Right. I just think that we at this point where we want something more out of life, and we're not going to just sit by and let life sort of take its course and us just be a part of it. And that was the reason why I started the organizations I started. Why I'm sort of like pushing myself to do things that's going to further my life and sort of better people in the process.
I do want to do a little pitch real quick because I don't even think y'all all know. We all like MSU folks.
Yeah,
like we all from state. Y'all ain't even be like go green. And
Don't worry.
Oh, we got that game at 7:45 today.
All right. Just throwing that out there. Hello. Oh, yes. And we have a past birthday that just happened. Happy belated birthday, Katie. Happy birthday.
Hey.
Oh,
Go ahead to sing a rapper.
Go ahead. You got your producer in here.
Birthday freestyle.
But yeah, so one of the things, we get a lot of pushback, y'all, from the older generation. So I do want to have a little bit of conversation around that because they do look at us as like, y'all wildfire. Y'all just all over the place. They don't think that we really got it. Yeah. What's wrong with it? But like, how do y'all feel about that? And do y'all think we can change that? Like, how can we make the older generation know, one, that we really have their best interests? You know what I'm saying? Like, we really just trying to better the environments in which we were put in or placed in, because now we're past a lot of the challenges that they had. And so, like, how can we approach that conversation? Like, how can we get them on board? Because that's one of the biggest things that I think is important.
Well, I would say that our grind, our passion, sometimes your work speaks for itself. So just showing that you're dedicated to what you're doing and you're passionate, to me, is the biggest thing that you can do to them. You could say all day, oh, I want to do this, that, and the third. But until you're about action, anything you say is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I agree. I was going to say you have to show them that they seem very results oriented. So we have to show them that we're able to get this done, because I know before I had my organization, it was just a registered student organization, and I always wanted to turn it into a nonprofit. And once I graduated, I was slacking, just working, and not really focused on my own goals. And my mom was like, you're tripping. Like, you need to do this, and I want to see you get it done. And after that, I was like, okay, bet. So you really do have to show them, like, you're able to get this done.
Shout out to Ma. I miss her.
Right. She miss you too.
Yeah, I mean, I think even though it is results driven, I don't think it's a way you can kind of change their mind. I mean, like the fear that's there, especially for a lot of us millennials, we have freedoms that they didn't have.
Yeah.
Right.
Just something as simple as not having kids. And so when you have a job and then your health insurance is gone when you quit and things like that, that's a fear, not just for them, they're for you. Like, you still have to take care of this child. So, I mean, I think we take a lot of jumps that they just weren't ready to take, but right now is the best time, and it's never going to get fixed if you don't start taking action. So, same thing she said, you got to take action. I mean,
I don't think it's no one's job to convince anyone anything. Like she said, I just feel like the work speaks for itself, and then the results, they're going to be there even if they take a little longer,
Right.
even if you're not on the same pace as someone else, because a lot of times we're looking at someone else's plate and like, okay, well, she's doing this, I need to be doing this, he's doing that. And I just think that as long as you keep doing and what you said you set out to do, I think you'll be fine. And then eventually they'll look up and say, hey, look at that.
Right.
You know, like, and you like.
And I'm pushing that
Whatever.
because it's just like I had these conversations. Like my family. Like I'm hard. Like we need to talk. We need to collaborate. We need to do more together. And I just think sometimes it helps us not to bump our heads when we have elders. You know what I'm saying? And I think, and not probably speaking to this table because I think that we come from a different perspective. We all have some type of mentor or somebody older in our life that's helped us or poured into us. But for a lot of people, some of us, that's true. But for a lot of millennials, it's like we think we know it all. And we don't. And it's like, history can repeat itself. It don't matter how much bread we get, how much land, like we not learning from the past. And I think just not collaborating with our elders in certain instances can be a pitfall, and it can really like destroy all that we're working to build. I'm all about building community together. Right? So just thinking about that, like, I think it's gonna be so important. So let's shift gears a little bit. What do y'all think some challenges for the millennials are? Like, as far as, because one of the big things for me is generational wealth. We talked a little bit about that on the first episode, just about what that looks like, and we're really starting from scratch with that. I mean, for some people, it's a little bit easier than others or better. They're in a different space. But thinking about Detroit and, like, all that's coming, like, no shade, but I sit next to, young white millennials who got it together. Like, and I be sitting like, damn, you own that building? Like, what you mean, bro? Like, or you don't pay no rent. How? You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed to have that because I was able to inherit my grandparents' property, but it's like, this is how they living. And it's harder for us to live like that. What do y'all think some real big challenges for us in just moving forward or pushing, the pedal to the metal?
I think personally we have an issue with understanding and sort of identifying what success looks like. I think for us, we look at the end product, what people put on social media, the success that they capture without looking at the hard work that had to go into it. So you got people starting businesses, you got people doing things without actually truly putting that time into it, right? So a lot of times it fails because they think it's, once I start this business and create this Facebook page and create this website, that's it. That's not it.
Yeah, you just started.
Right.
You got a long way to go.
A long way.
A lot of money to lose, too.
A lot of money.
Okay.
Another issue that I see is we have a hard time staying focused on one thing to try to perfect that one thing first, right? We're so focused on trying to have 7 or 10 incomes and, trying to do, we have all these different ideas that will come out. Oh, we can do this and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to start this business, I'm going to offer X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? And then you want to add more to it. Like, I can do this with it. I can also do this with it. Instead of just focusing on one thing, perfecting that one thing, you know what I mean? And then you move on from there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I say something that I observed was fostering professional relationships because we're always, like, getting support from our friends and family. I think we need to focus on more so, well, personally for me, I think I need to focus on fostering more professional relationships with people because for the most part, a lot of people that I meet professionally, they either become my friend or we stop talking. So I need to work on fostering those relationships and maintaining those, connections with people.
I would say the biggest thing, especially for me, I would take ownership of this, is fear. A lot of us are afraid to step outside of our comfort zones. We're afraid to ask for help. We're afraid to take that step. And until we can identify our fears and overcome them, we're going to be stuck in a box.
Yeah, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but it go back to the direction and guidance. Just like having, for example, I don't specifically agree with college, but the networking there, being around that many minds, and the avenues, like, I don't want it to seem like it's a right path because there's no right way to do anything. But sometimes you just need to see other roads, other avenues to know if this fits with you or if you need to make something completely new.
I mean, that's pretty much how I got into education and tutoring and youth and development. I really saw the need for mentors and still do.
Yes.
So if anyone's interested, especially working throughout DPS. So, I'm from Detroit. And so I was like, I'm going to stay in the city. Like, that's really where I see the problem. I see a lot of millennials having children that they're really just not prepared to have. And that, I feel like, is a huge challenge because it becomes a financial burden when you have, certain things that are priority. And then you don't have the guidance and the help and everything, like you're just struggling. So, like, where do you start? So I think that once we kind of put a cap on, our chaoticness, because we can be a little wild, which is nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, we need to, pull it back some, think about what we're doing a little. I think that would help the millennials kind of change the direction, which I still think we are changing our direction of parents in the household, how things are, being broke up or being brought up, excuse me. So
I do want to add too, who here still deals with imposter syndrome?
Oh my gosh, I have that so bad. It's
Yeah.
not even funny.
You said what's
Imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of that.
So basically, that you aren't capable of doing something, right?
Oh,
Okay.
So you go into a space where it's a working environment and you feel like you don't belong there, although you just have the skills. You got the skills, you got the talent. It's just you're holding
now.
yourself back, right? I think we deal with that as a generation. I think that we undervalue ourselves. We bring more to the table than people think we do, and we sort of we self-sabotage to an extent because we're I'm young, I still can't do it.
Yeah.
I need more money.
Piggybacking off that, even Fortune 500 companies, you'll go places and see unprofessionalism and then mimic it because you see them get away with it. They have the resources to get away with it. You don't.
Yeah.
You need to outweigh them in every form and facet of the game.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was about to segue into this because this is something professionally that I have dealt with since I graduated. It's this idea, exactly what you're saying. Because I'm young, I feel like I don't bring enough to the table, so I undervalue myself in the workspace. But now, your girl mastered. You hear
Right,
me?
yeah.
And I'm sitting here looking, and even with certain conversations that I have with people that I've seen, it's we dang near be on the same page with with the older generation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so what I found is my lack of mentorship or even help or being poured into, specifically Black women, I would say, I've struggled with because I feel like they see me more as competition than they see me as
a
just
sister.
somebody, a sister trying to grow and build in these workplaces. Do y'all deal with that? And specifically Black men, I wonder, do y'all deal with it?
Yeah, that's
have
what
y'all
I
had
feel
those
like Black
issues?
men are just so much more subtle than Black
Yeah.
women.
I
Let's
just
not
feel
even
like-
start
yeah.
that.
To an
Seriously.
but to an extent, though, in the academic realm, for me, I'm finishing my doctorate, and I'm the youngest by far, one of the only Black men in the program by far. And so it's almost sort of to an extent where you feel that you got to kind of fight to open up some doors because they don't really want to let you in all the way to an extent. And so, I do kind of face some of the same issues. And the Black men who are in those positions who I can look to as mentors, it's again, we're competing for resources, right? So, I can see that too.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anybody else feel like they deal with that? Or is that an isolated situation?
Definitely. To an extent, it goes back to support. A lot of times you don't know how to support somebody that's doing something in the same avenue as you, or even just something as similar as entrepreneurship. We both entrepreneurs. We feel like we competing.
Yeah.
It's just genuine. Instead of posting, hey, my man's got a show out, support. If it was Jay-Z, you'd be like, oh, fire concert, got to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Support your mans like that.
Yeah.
Say it just like that. Don't say, no, it's fire. I like this. You should listen to it too.
Yeah.
It's the genuine part of it.
I just feel like in the workplace, I don't know. I'm not sure. I
It's
just
just
feel
a
like
weird space
it's
for
a
me.
weird space. I was going to say that because it's like if you,
in all my jobs.
especially being a Black woman, if you got a body, you got to keep it covered. If you're
Oh,
pretty,
yeah.
you got to watch
You
what
gotta
women
tone it
in
down.
the office or what she's saying around the corner, or who you secretly might have slept with. It be so much stuff going on in the workplace. So it's definitely a place of where you feel like fear. You know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, I don't want to come off like this. And then also, who I am and professional me might not be the same person.
Yeah.
She's so irritated.
I just want people to know that because I think, we see certain people in a light and we're like, oh, that's who they are. And then you see them somewhere else and you're like, what? And it's like, I just had a cocktail.
No, I definitely, I feel imposter syndrome pretty often. I've had amazing internships and I'm like, oh, they must have accepted me by mistake, or I slipped through the cracks or something.
She
So
was out here White House.
right, and
living.
that's the internship where I was like, did they mean to accept me? I was competing against 5 other people at my school and I was the only one who got the internship. So I was like,
No, that was God.
yeah,
Right.
sure. But
That was for you.
yeah, and we're talking about other people who like quit their jobs to come and do this internship, full grown teachers, and I was only like a junior or sophomore in college, so I was just like,
that's beautiful.
okay, maybe I need to chill, but I definitely struggle with imposter syndrome still to this day.
And I think everybody should take should have a sales job at some point in their life, because you're always selling yourself.
Yeah.
Always, no matter where you are. Your friendship, work, you're always selling yourself. So you have to learn how to take things that might not sound valuable and make them sound like the most valuable thing ever.
All right, now. Sense for today. So let's just shift gears a little bit again. What are we doing well? What are millennials out here just killing the game in? I want to know, like, we did that. I want to know how y'all feel.
We killing the game for sure.
We are killing the game.
We're killing the game for sure. I mean, home ownership.
Yes.
Let's say, like you say, like we're creating money. Like, let's be real. Sometimes we're just like
Still
with an
sick on
idea, and we're
Bitcoin.
like, this idea is about to change my life. I mean, we're going like, what's the guy that did the Drake dance and he like,
Oh, Shiggy.
yeah, got like $1 million. Like, we're doing like small things.
Innovative.
Innovative things, like so we're doing the damn thing. Shout out to us, whoop whoop. And yeah, we got problems, and who don't though?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yes, we have things to work on, but we're perfecting it,
Yeah.
and that's what I love about millennials. Like, we're like, okay, yeah, we got some mistakes, we'll work on it, and we are. Period.
I say we are pulling in a lot of resources. Like, people see potential in us, and I think that a lot of people are investing in millennials, especially millennials in the city that are doing stuff. I think that's one thing we're good at, just pulling in some resources.
I know we're not afraid to try different things. You know what I mean? So with in my field, I'm an accountant, so I help a lot of people in Detroit start their business, and you know, I'm there from the start all the way up until they want to sell it.
Period.
You know, so I see that a lot, and people come in with their ideas, and they come in with, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to start, this is what I find I think the city would need or whatnot, and I help them put it together, and I can see that they're actually going to put the effort into it. They're actually going to put the action behind it that was mentioned before. So I think millennials are doing a really good job of not just planning, but actually doing the action part behind it.
Yeah. I would add that we value social capital just as much as financial capital, right? And I think
the bell.
I think social capital is
Social capital word.
Yes.
Put the definition on the
right. Social capital is just as important. It's about sort of what you bring to the table in terms of networks and who you're connected with, because that supports you financially as well. So having situations like this where we're getting together and sort of sharing ideas, we don't know who we connecting with in the room, right? And what we can bring to the table. And I think that our generation has done that better because we have access to a wider platform, just through social media, just through like, you can literally like slide into like a celebrity's DMs and be like, hey,
They might respond.
they might respond. Like,
absolutely.
I got this thing going on in Detroit, and they may respond. So that opens up a whole nother like level for you in your business.
Especially if you pitch it well.
Yeah, for sure.
And piggybacking off them too, but I always say it's power and people, not money. If you got all the money and no people,
Yeah.
what you gonna do with
Yeah.
it? And
You know, the city of Detroit,
Wise,
though.
wise,
That
wise.
can get a little questionable. Because I know a whole lot of people with money. They can't solve no problems.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But off the diversity too, like we find markets, like markets that you didn't even think existed. You hear a person tell you about a business that you never even thought of, and you're like, wow, like that's dope, and
Absolutely.
we capitalize off
And
it.
they prospering off of it too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
didn't think of that.
Like I said, I think it's just dope to like just have an idea just out of nowhere and just create like monetary, you know, compensation from this idea, or to create a business and just like out your mind literally and just toss it out there, and now you're like a multi-million-dollar business. Like, I don't think, like, we're not running around getting patents for anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so different. Like, we can be this day today and someone else tomorrow. Like,
One thing I really like about millennials, I think, like, we challenge what's supposedly truth now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we really in an age of, like, information is so valuable. And you can find so much on this little device we got. Like, this is literally a walk-in whatever we want it to be.
a computer.
And it's crazy because,
computer.
like, things that were taught to us, like things that we learned in school, had to take an exam
We're
for.
wrong.
And they was wrong as hell. And now we're like bringing that to light. And I think that's so important because it also changes the trajectory of what our future and what the future for the future looks like. Because we're able to bring light to stuff that's really been bull all these years. You know what I'm saying?
And that's traditional education doesn't allow you to challenge
At all.
these ideas, right? It's sort of like, all right, you're going to learn this, regurgitate it back,
Right.
and that's it. You didn't get, I think it was probably until college where you actually had a discussion around an issue, right? We can actually bring your own self to the table. But you don't see that in K through 12. And that's an issue where we see our young kids being indoctrinated into the system. And so we got to change that as well. That's going to be key.
Absolutely.
I say I always look for more information. Like, I'm always on Google, like, what is blah, blah, blah. Like, I will research literally anything. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that does that. But I will say a lot of millennials are very, like, research, based. They like to look up information because you're not going to tell me my opinion is wrong without me knowing the facts to prove that you're right or you're wrong. So.
Period.
I do got a question for y'all. Are millennials leading this cancel culture? Because I hate it. And I want to know who's leading the cancel culture. Is it us?
I don't
Like,
know.
I don't
know, but
You know who Kelly on my playlist.
I'm definitely going to say it's Generation Z.
They're not aware enough.
I mean, that's why I think that is them. I don't think they know what they're doing. I don't like cancel culture at all. But so I can't tell you. Let me not lie. If I find out it's a millennial, I'm very mad at you.
What does cancel mean though? Like, is that like the lazy social media way to protest now? Because I mean, I haven't really been seeing much of that anymore. But what exactly does cancel mean?
The cancel culture is like us getting behind stuff so quickly, and it's like you do wrong one thing in this world. Now it's
Cancel.
like we off you.
I like it to a certain degree though.
Yeah.
Because it shows solidarity. And that's something we often don't have. Even though we might be trying to ban or cancel something, people are sticking together. So how do we use this for something else? How do we use this for something positive? Yeah, we want R. Kelly off the radio. Okay, how can we get more money for our schools or get more money for our housing, problems? So
the bill on that one.
Seriously.
So we need to put the cancel culture energy in a different space. Is what you're saying. But we also need to be consistent. Because even with our canceling, we only canceling you for 2 seconds.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I'm at the Super Bowl party and we playing R. Kelly.
That's a Gucci.
I'm like, I shouldn't put this song on my playlist. Okay, I'll take it off.
I did turn
Like, I don't know who's leading it, but I feel like it's like everybody don't research like you do.
Okay.
For example, the Momo thing that came out, and everybody was retweeting it. Like, my kids saw it, and it's real. And it was like, it's not. You just lied on your kid.
I didn't even believe it.
They didn't even know about it. My cousin didn't know about it until the viral tweet. Like, it was all in the news. Like, we wasn't even watching that. None of my siblings came across it, but
I think we're too sensitive. Everything's too sensitive.
I think
you gotta watch what you say nowadays.
I think to an extent, though, if someone does something that's deliberately either racist or just out of the norm, we should hold them accountable.
Yes.
You got to call it out.
I think it's a difference between holding someone accountable and basically canceling. Because if that's the case, we can cancel ourselves for a lot of things that we've done.
That's how I do it.
Everybody
Because
I
I'm not an angel, you know what I'm saying? But but you also, I feel like we end up at least forgiving ourselves for being, what that was. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think, I feel like it's kind of like equivalent to like Jesus on the cross, or stoning someone. Like, how do we get to cancel someone?
Yeah.
Who are we?
Right.
Like, it just that drives me crazy. But I do understand the accountability. That's why I kind of just sit back and be like,
What really confused me in that specific scenario was we were just on mental health.
Yes.
Like, we were just talking about it, and nobody for 1 second considered this man needs help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like-
or that he been through something himself, and it's like, okay, we're gonna. I do understand. I have little sisters, same age. I mean, and like I say, I go through the same thing. Like, I don't.
It's somewhat, we're stuck between this fine line between, okay, let's educate you, and okay, this is something you should know already. Like, we don't need to, we shouldn't have to teach you this, but we will. So I think it's kind of balancing and knowing how to differentiate when a situation is something you should already know. Now we're holding you accountable, or this is a learning moment or a teaching moment for you. So
would the boycott or strike against Gucci count as an education moment?
It's
or
a
was
strike
it
against Gucci.
You missed the whole Gucci thing?
Y'all know.
Blackface.
I don't have Instagram.
Oh yeah, they
So
had
I'm
the shirt
so
with
lost.
the lips or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. They had the turtlenecks
Blackface.
with the lips on it, but it was like it was
Blackface.
weird.
I
It
was just
weird.
playing some Gucci.
So I think I'm
No, not Gucci.
The clothing
Oh,
line
Gucci.
Gucci.
I'm like, Gucci.
Oh,
That's
no,
what
not
I'm
Gucci
Gucci
Mane.
Mane. I love
Gucci
Gucci
Mane.
Mane.
Ain't nobody canceling Gucci.
Oh yeah, I ain't thinking about Gucci.
Nah.
I ain't thinking about Gucci. We like YSL anyway.
Because it's different with corporations. You just automatically get mad because you don't look at the face behind the brand. You just see that brand and you're like, oh, nah.
That's where we lack consistency, though.
Yeah.
Because the Starbucks happened. We had the Chick-fil-A incident. But we eating it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, we wouldn't have lasted during the bus boycott.
No,
boycott.
not at all.
We're like, oh, what boycott? What was
I'm like, I want to be
That was
Black
2 weeks ago.
Panther.
Our little badass would have been telling Rosa, like, it's fun back here. We love the back of the bus. Like, we crazy. Like,
But what's the statute of limitations on a situation like the guy in Virginia, the governor? That happened 30 years ago. So is there like a limitation on who you can cancel?
Give more.
Like for instance, all right. So with
question.
the Virginia
Yeah.
governor who had the blackface picture in the yearbook, it came out to light now, but that happened like back in 1982 or something like that,
Yeah.
right? So is it fair to sort of reprimand
You
that
know,
or
it's
something?
nice that
I have a
we-
question about
how
that
we gonna
though.
figure that out?
Isn't his wife the same person that was passing out cotton to the people that were coming to visit his plantation home?
What?
So that's why the
that.
cancellation came.
I missed that.
I missed
Yes.
that one
See,
too.
that's why I need a full cancellation packet. You need the list.
All right, names.
Submit it.
I need y'all to
Pictures.
break it
Google
down.
who was canceled in 2019.
But that's how it came about. His wife was supposed to give a tour to interns and different staff that were coming in, and she passed out cotton as a souvenir.
Okay.
So then that's when the whole blackface.
They like, we about to do some
Came back
research.
out.
on
Yeah.
All right,
it.
let's
Did
figure this
anybody
out.
look at the cotton and say, what the f is this? Did anybody?
I'm
I
not
would have
sure.
been like, why are you giving us this?
Yes, I would
Right.
have
Trying
just
to be
been so
funny.
confused.
So y'all reaction was different.
You
'cause
know,
I would've
it's
threw
real.
it.
It's real hard.
Where was they gonna fly? It's cotton.
Because it's like we
Throwing it
sitting
right
here
back to
thinking
you.
about this whole idea of time limit, and I do feel like in this age, people just like to do stuff for attention. Like
Right.
we be
Right.
wanting to get some plug of time so we can just put somebody out there. It's like we just love pointing the finger, and I don't think that's a millennial thing. I think that's a times thing.
Yeah.
And
It
because
is.
we live in so in fake news, we don't know what to believe. I be sitting there like I need to wait at least 3 weeks to
Right.
see even how this story unfolds these
True.
days.
Yeah.
My
True.
biggest gripe with it is when it's against our own. Like we're
Yeah.
promoting our own demise.
Yeah.
Like when the R. Kelly thing came out and we all watched it, it instantly created the Michael Jackson one.
Oh.
It instantly, like because we're
definitely-
promoting
yeah.
our own.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in you back up your own in front of people and then
Yeah,
at
in
home you
private.
fix it. Yeah.
Right.
It's like we
Because
got
that's
your
how other
back.
cultures deal with that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I mean-
definitely don't see white folks throwing the Catholic Church on the being like we're
That's my whole
okay,
thing.
like because we got a whole and I watched the R.
Yeah.
Kelly. It was like I mean, but it was our culture. You know what I'm saying? Like so it was like wow. And then like I said, when I heard Michael Jackson was coming out, I was like,
Like what?
what? Like he's not even here anymore to even
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
up for
What's
his
the point of
for
this?
himself. It's so that's disappointing.
But with the Michael Jackson, it was already coming out. So yeah, R. Kelly came out first. It's not like they
Okay.
was like, okay, 2 weeks later we gonna throw out Michael Jackson. It was already in the
But
works.
they knew it to sell.
They knew it would sell.
Yeah.
But then my question is, how do you guys feel about Oprah going in and interviewing the cast?
'cause
from
that's how
leaving
I
the-
found out.
She's trying to stay
Oprah
relevant.
did what now?
Oprah did an interview
I
with them after it came out to discuss the whole
messy.
issue.
With
Yeah.
who? The
She
people
need to
R.
bring
Kelly or
underground back. if she
Michael
gonna be doing
Jackson.
all
Right,
that.
seriously.
She did an HBO special at that.
Yeah,
It wasn't
she
even
did
on
do
her
the
channel.
special. That's how I found out about it. I didn't even know anything about this movie coming out until I seen her. I'm like, what is Oprah ever talking about? And then I seen it Never Ever. I'm like, hold up. I know this ain't what I think it is. So yeah, I mean,
Wow.
for me, first of all, because it was even Oprah during the interview, I'm like, it opened my eyes a little more.
Yeah, I look up
That's,
to her.
that's what they
like,
wanted.
I
money.
don't think
I'm
we
like,
ever,
Oprah?
I ain't really worried about Oprah. I ain't think about Oprah.
I think it's harder for us to do the public and private thing because we get exploited by different people. Like
Yeah.
we don't. It's not when it's something in the Catholic Church. It's mainly the people in the Catholic Church that just decided to say something. It's not we had an outsider who decided to they came and saw something and then they say something. It's more so like with the Black community, it's people from all different angles that are coming into our community, finding stuff out, and then we get exploited for different stuff. Like with the Michael Jackson thing, I'm not really trying to make it a race thing, but I saw white men accusing him of this stuff. Not to say that he's right or wrong, but I just feel like we get exploited by more than just our own people. So it's hard to say let's do this in private or let's do this in public when everybody know our business. So
That's more the reason I feel like we need to stick together. Like,
Yeah.
why is our biggest celerity moment I can't say that right now. Solidarity moment
Solidarity.
between the cancel culture.
Right.
Like, why is it nothing positive that we united around?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we competing against each other, like you said.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great segue to our next question, millennials.
Sweet.
Let's go.
Okay, what is our challenge? Okay, so we kind of talked about the challenge. How can we, where does our promise lie as millennials? What should we be focused on? Like, because we have so much, I mean, we just said it, like we out here challenging norms. We're bringing identity to truth in a time where we got nothing but fake news. We have so much access between social media and
Helping
just
the community. That's the main. That should be everybody's main goal.
And what does that look like, Katie?
I mean, I was raised on like giving back, volunteering, community service. Like that was my mom didn't let every day of the week. That's something I had to do. Nothing I really did was paid until like I got to college. So, it can come in many different forms. Some people consider labor to be their way of community service, but I want to know that I help somebody in their life. Like I mentally help someone or emotionally help someone, or just contributed to somebody that they could, later down the line they can remember something I told them, or they could use something I told them, and that helps or enhance their life. So I think a lot of people need to focus on just giving back, community service. Like you will get it tenfold. It's kind of like if you give tithes in church. If you can do that, you should be able to do community service.
So I just want to play a devil's advocate, but if I've never had anyone help me, I feel like the world is against me. How am I supposed to be a person that's willing to do community service or help others?
Yeah, it's really hard to try to get. Sometimes those are the people you probably need to mentor, because you can tell when people feel like that without even having to have a conversation with them. But those are the people that you need to like focus on, like mentoring and bringing them up, because other people are around them. They can see that they have that type of mindset, and I think that's where your community service should come into play, by helping that person and showing them the ropes of giving back. And you feel good as a person when you do it. So I think once they try it, they will obviously continue to do it. They just need that first step.
Right. I feel like it's not all about just helping someone else, you know what I mean, or helping those people, like how you were saying. You feel better about yourself when you do something and you see someone did great based off some information you gave them or something that you helped them with. And I didn't notice that until college, when I became a tutor and I was helping people with with the math, and they come back with their grades and stuff and are excited that they passed the class. That feeling was greater than the feeling of either getting a big check from a client, you know what I mean? And I think that's what kind of helped me to continue to want to help more people, and the more people I help, I feel like, in terms of like, if you're just thinking of the word success, the definition, in my opinion, is measured by the amount of people you're able to help become successful.
Because if you fall off, all of these people that you done poured into, they not gonna let you, they're not gonna just take care of you. But people come back in a lot of different ways, and when you're able to plant that seed into multiple people, I don't see anything bad happening to that person who planted those seeds. Like, somebody is gonna catch you before you fall.
Period.
Shout out to Marshawn. Marshawn, the reason why I even started an organization, not an organization myself, but got involved in Advantage.
Okay,
Like, you
shout
was
out to
there,
the
Marshawn.
Advantage.
And you need to go
Almost got
ahead and
kicked
go
out of
over here and
state.
go to this program. And I'm
Okay.
like, what program, bro?
That was 1825.
I could say
Advantage was the
Marshawn impacted
groove.
my whole little lifespan
real.
here. I done got a.
They the
Advantage
reason I
helped
stayed
me,
in
though.
school.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been knowing you for a long time.
Ain't it crazy?
Don't say our ages.
We ain't
Right.
I think
They know.
I think
They
I saw
know.
you in my AOP when y'all Advantage came to
That's
perform.
crazy.
Uh-oh.
You was at AOP.
Look, let me turn my head. I don't know what y'all talking about.
What's some other stuff y'all that y'all think millennials should be focused on out here, or really trying to?
I think the biggest thing is leadership.
Yeah.
Like, with so many millennials trying to do their own thing and get their own direction, we're not coming together the way we should as a united
Yes.
front. Like, for example, everybody feels they're right or has their own idea of how something should be done. It's not necessarily that anyone's wrong, but if we had a leader in one direction to go, I feel like we'd be way more powerful if we tackled them step by step, like we talked about earlier, rather than everybody going their own way.
Kind of like silos.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot in the workplace. It's just like people operate so much individually.
Yeah.
And it's like, bruh, if we could just come together, we could solve that problem. You know, and then I think it goes back to the fear. I think some of us are scared to solve the problems.
We afraid.
Like I think, and it's not I don't think that it's like we wake up like I don't want to fix anything. I don't think it's like that. But I think there is something in it. Because I know, like, even, you know, we could take it back to civil rights. I'm sure when they started, they didn't realize what them doing that boycott would lead to. But when it happened, and you really could ride that bus and sit at that county, do I really want to go sit over? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that comes into that. So I definitely agree around, like, it's we need that leadership. But it's like, I feel like people scared to take those strides because it's like, not a ball rolling. It's happening.
Yeah,
you know?
we know it's a picture bigger than us, but I feel we don't know if other people will receive us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to put myself out there, but social media is a big thing. What if I don't get likes? What if I don't get people to attend my events? That's discouraging. So, just...
Remember our Advantage Day, we had 3 people in the
3
audience.
people. That's why we took it on tour.
You gotta be willing to take some losses. Like out of the losses, you're gonna learn. You know, you're gonna grow. And I think that our generation more than ever, we understand you're gonna take some nicks. Like you're gonna fall down a few times, but at the end of the day, it's about sort of progressing and falling forward. Overall, though, I think we need more millennials in the political sphere. I think we need to start interjecting our ideas because. Again, we the only ones who really care about climate change. We the ones who care about education.
Animals.
Like gun violence.
We're the ones that believe in climate change. So like
I feel like everybody else is just like, oh, just the status quo. They're afraid to make that change. But I think for us, and you saw from the kids at that school in Florida after the shooting, they stepped up and made change themselves. Like these were kids who stepped up, went to vote, got involved in politics, and truly made some substantive change. And we got to do that. We got to.
I agree.
I think entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. Like,
talk about it.
Okay, you can ring the bell.
like everybody sees the freedom and the things it brings, but not everybody sees the journey. It's hard sometimes.
Absolutely.
And if you just want to be comfortable knowing where your check coming day to day, then maybe you should just stay at your job because entrepreneurship ain't always like that.
I mean, I think we need to keep jobs anyway, something to fall back on. And we also need kind of like a consistent something, a schedule. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, like a lot of times being free and wild, you just do whatever you want, and you're forgetting what your focus is.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I love leadership, I love community, but I think of some of our challenges, or like a biggest challenge, or what we should focus on would be just making sure we're fostering healthy and happy lives. You know what I'm saying? Like that what we're doing is coming from a good place and from a great place. That it's not no animosity by what I'm doing, and I'm not regretting what I'm doing. It's from a healthy place. You get what I'm saying? So when age hits you and certain things like life happen, you're not like, oh, why me, Lord? Like, things happen. Right. It's going to happen. Yes. Life's going to happen. We're also going to get older. But we need to be accepting of ourselves and the choices that we've made in our life. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, I think personally, we still struggle with that.
Yes.
So
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think, and two, I don't know how involved, I mean, I feel like, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know how spiritual millennials are, because that looks very different in different spaces. But I do believe that we do need to get to a space of that, the goodness. Like, I think we forget that in all of this. Like, people out here making moves and you doing X, Y, and Z, and you at the top, but your nose turned up at the little man.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's not healthy either. I don't care how many of us at the top, if we keep turning our nose because I'm not doing what you doing, but I'm still leading and living a healthy life.
Exactly.
Why we can't work together still, because I still, you know, these people, all of us have a part in this to play.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that as we get success, you know, because again, depending on who you are, your success might look different. So that goodness, I think millennials have a big role to play in us getting back to that as a community, really being community focused in those type of things and loving on each other. Like, we have really forgot about
that. It's, you know, where is the love? I play that all the time because I ask myself that all the time. Where is the love, you know? And it's just like, what's going on? Like, I mean, but I guess if you don't have it to give, you ain't, you know, you ain't got it.
Yeah.
So.
And I think I personally went through the, you know, feeling myself, my head was turned up. I went through that phase, and I think it helped me to become aware of, have that self-awareness about my flaws and just growing up, because it helped me mature and to realize, okay, this is where I went wrong. This is what I need to fix going forward. So now it helped me mature into being able to do what I wanted to do for my end goal. And now I'm just watching more things manifest now that I've been able to humble myself.
You live and you
in
learn.
those positions.
Absolutely.
So,
And I think my last thing here is I meant financial freedom, not freedom. I ain't went to a club in a long time. I can't get out.
Financial freedom
Yeah,
only.
right.
Hope.
okay,
But I mean, I think that nose turn up come from you essentially trying to help, and somebody who won't listen or someone you couldn't help, and you end up feeling
prove
like,
them
yeah,
wrong.
you can't help, you can't help them, they're stuck. But my mom always told me, if you giving, you can't be looking for nothing back.
Yes.
When you give it, you might
Yeah.
get something, you might not,
Absolutely.
but you gotta just give.
One word that y'all think identifies the millennial experience. This is gonna be fun. I do these in icebreakers at work. I'm sorry. One word that you would say. You can think about it 2 seconds.
One word.
1,
Right.
2. Okay.
Experimental.
Prosperity.
Revolutionizing.
Ooh, innovative. That was
Oh,
a
she
really
took mine. I was
good
supposed to say
one.
innovative.
What she say?
Sorry.
I'll
Revolutionizing.
just say eager.
Eager. Marshawn, what was
Hungry.
yours?
Phenomenal.
Ooh.
you
Okay,
go.
what's mine? Game changing. That's 2 words.
Right.
Hashtag. Another hashtag.
Just
in this one.
hyphenated.
Oh, it was
See, that's the wrong with y'all millennials. Nah,
Changing the game.
game.
Moving the
Yes.
goalposts.
So now we're going into my favorite part of this show, because at the beginning I always like to introduce my guests on how I know them, to let people know this ain't fake. I don't just got people on my show that I don't have relationships with. But this is y'all point now to just kind of let people know who y'all are, because like I said on my first episode, I don't mess with regular people. Okay, we don't do that. So I want to give y'all a chance to kind of go around the table, tell the audience who y'all are, what y'all out here doing. If y'all got anything coming up in your organization or anything like that, feel free to plug it. So whoever want to kick it off can.
I guess I start. So again, this is Eric McLeod. I am a doctoral student right now with the University of Michigan Dearborn, focusing on organizational leadership with another focus on urban education. I have a podcast called Can We Talk on Sundays. So Sundays from 1 to 2. So listen in on Podcast Detroit.
Hey.
Also, I started an organization a while ago called the Dream Deferred Project. We focus on 18 to 24-year-old young men in the city of Detroit, provide them with college access, workforce development. We received a $50,000 grant from my brother's keeper about 3 years ago.
Hey.
Yeah, about 3 years ago. So we're still trying to do some work in the community and just make some positive change.
Sound like grant writing over there.
Okay.
Right.
I need to go there.
All right.
Right.
We're going to come
Right.
see you.
Get the contact.
Well, I'm Marshawn Pettis. I own an accounting firm on the east side of Detroit. I've been doing this for about 4 years now. My focus is to help individuals, nonprofit organizations, and small businesses grow, and not just grow, but to reach whatever goals and stuff that they may have. I focus on building a better cash flow for people, minimizing their expenses, and just helping them get to their dreams and their goals. I'm also a real estate investor, so I've been buying
Nice.
stuff in Detroit.
That's-
That's been doing really, really well for me.
I believe it.
So, I advise all of you, if you have not yet, start buying some of these houses, some of these
Absolutely.
buildings in Detroit.
Shout out to the land bank.
All right.
My name is Katie Cox. I am a political organizer. I have a 501c3. I just became tax exempt, so I'm working on starting my first fundraiser, trying to get some grants. But the focus of the organization is health awareness and prevention. So basically, my entire mom's side has diabetes, and I basically started the organization to raise awareness about it, and then to talk about other illnesses like mental health and just how to prevent and work with people who have these illnesses. That's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Oh, it's on me.
See, she
Okay,
like-
hotspot. I'm Dejanay Douglas. I own my own organization called I Care, which stands for Inspiring Change and Revolutionizing Education. I am a true crusader for education. I'm in the community. You can find me. If you need help with resources, go to icaredetroit.com and we can help you everything from CPR training to resume building and career placement. Also, I'm on the board for the Young Democrats of Detroit, so DYD, next meeting April 14th, so feel free to come, millennials. Also, another event that's coming up is the Millennial Roundtable with Councilman Roy McAllister Jr. That's an awesome event. If you guys want to continue this discussion outside this podcast, and the official launch party for Our Care is May 25th at Northern Lights Lounge in Detroit. Come out, free food, giveaways. We out here, y'all.
That's what's up.
Hey, my name is Greg Chase. I am the CEO and founder of Hoop Run LLC. It's a mobile platform for organizing recreational indoor basketball. Essentially what that means is find somewhere to play basketball on your phone. If you're not in a league or a membership, that's usually hard to do if any of you play basketball yourselves. Also, Hoop Run is a brand. We have a podcast as well every Thursday. We sell merchandise, and we also work in the communities too. We have a sponsorship going on right now to put on a camp for kids to make them better. So it's Hoop Run everything, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and hooprun.com to find any information or contact us.
Your season dropped today, right?
It dropped last week, so it's episode 2. You only missed one.
Hey.
Said announce that fire, Greg.
Check that out. I guess it's on me. All right, now. My name is Jasmine King. Right now, I am contracted as an education consultant over at John R. King.
All right.
DPS. So I work in the schools with K through 8. I assist most of the teachers, but I do a lot of program development. So I create my own programs that I would like to see ran throughout DPS. Okay. So right now I'm trying to get started on my 501c3, which I got the name. I'll throw it out there. It's Right Brain Refining Services. So I like to focus a lot on arts and creation for the youth, because I think they're really creative and they just need another way to tackle that energy. So I would like to just get them involved in, like I say, programs. I mean, law enforcement programs, all kind of programs that I feel that our children are missing in our traditional school system. Okay. So that's what I would like to focus on. That's my big focus. Other than that, I'm just real chill, you know.
Yeah, we out here.
I'm just, I'm out here too. So I'm we out here. So.
Well, I want to thank y'all for joining me for episode 2. I'm just excited about all the work that all of y'all are doing. I'm always... Oh my goodness, I'm like the biggest cheerleader on the sideline.
Yes.
Sometimes I just love it.
And we love you. Thank you.
So
but I think it's so important for, y'all to get these platforms to let people know what y'all out here doing. And one of the biggest things that I always push is the network. I feel like every time people leave out of the podcast, it's like you got another connection. And I think that's what it's really about, us continuously building, using what we got so we can get on and have our own shit. Yeah. But thank y'all so much, man. This is Kenya with podcast number 2, PolicKen, per usual. Catch y'all. My next episode is not going to be bi-weekly. I'm coming back for 420. So catch me, Podcast Detroit.